Hey everyone, welcome back to Vegans, Veggies, and Vibes. My name is Amarais, and today we're going to be making a carrot sweet and spicy roll. What we're going to do is take the pulp from juicing carrots. If you have a juicer, this is a great way to use that pulp and not feel like you're wasting anything. And it makes a great tuna substitute. So once we have a half cup of that all made up, we're going to put about a tablespoon of chili and garlic oil. In case you don't know what that looks like, this is a really common one you can buy. The next thing we're going to do is add 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. This gives it a nice creamy texture. And give that a mix. We'll also be adding about a tablespoon of nori furikake. I hope I'm saying that right. It's so hard to say, it's odd. And that helps give the mix a little bit of a fishy flavor. The seaweed in it does just enough to make it perfect. All right, now that we have finished mixing up our innards, we can go ahead and start assembling our sushi. The first thing we need to grab is our nori. Nori is seaweed. This is what it looks like. It's hard to tell, especially on camera, but there's typically 2 sides to seaweed. One side is very textured and one side is more shiny. On this piece in particular, I feel like it's hard to tell, but you can tell this side's a little smoother and shiny and this side's a little more textured. We're gonna lay the smooth, shiny side down. The textured side is where we're going to put our rice. Sushi rice is cooked differently than other rice. It's almost a 1-to-1 ratio. So for a cup of sushi rice, you add 1 1/4 cup of water. And so for making half a cup of sushi rice, we did a little under 3/4 of a cup. And then we added a mixture of rice vinegar, sugar, and salt. This is what I typically love to use. Make sure you get this one, not the sugar-free, sodium-free one. If you turn around and look at the ingredients, it says rice vinegar, sugar, salt, and that's exactly what you want it to say. And you put about a tablespoon or so in. It's for flavor, but also to help with the stickiness. So now we're gonna take our sticky rice, give it a good mix, and put it on to our nori. The important thing while making sushi is to make sure that your rice is cooled down. That's why I did not show the making process of rice, because I made it ahead of time so it'd be nice and cool. And you also want to get it all the way to the edges of your nori. The reason you want to get it all the way to the edges is because the nori isn't going to stick to itself. And so when we're rolling, we want the rice all the way to the edge so that it won't come apart. And we're just doing a nice even layer all the way to the edges. A half cup of sushi rice is a tad more than you need for one roll, but it just makes it a nice big roll, and I'm okay with that. So now that we have our rice on, let me pull this up so you can see the full size. Now that our rice is on, we're going to take our carrot mixture, and on the lower third, we're just gonna pile it on into like a log. We're not going to like spread it out over the top because that would actually make it a lot harder to roll. You want all of your ingredients right in the center. So there's our carrot mixture. I like to add some avocado. I think that goes really well with this type of sushi, as well as some cucumber, just to give it a nice fresh crunch. You want to make sure your ingredients are cut pretty small to help with the rolling. For the cucumber, you can cut the skin off if you want, or leave it. I don't mind it, so I leave it on. I know a lot of people who do prefer to cut it off. So now that all of our toppings on, We're gonna take this small side and we're gonna fold it over. This is a pretty big roll. And we're just gonna kind of lightly press it all together so that we get a nice tight core. That is the most important part of making sushi. And you don't wanna squeeze tight because we have a very loose mixture and it'll just spew out the edges. And we're just gonna roll it a tad on that seam. It's also picking up some rice, which is okay. And now you have a sushi roll with little bits of rice everywhere, which we're not in a restaurant, it's totally fine. When you're cutting your sushi, you're gonna find your sharpest knife and get it wet. Just run it under the faucet. And then you're gonna take it, the first piece is always the hardest to cut. I always make it a little extra big. I don't know if this knife is quite sharp enough for this, we'll see. But you're not gonna use any force. You're gonna use your hand to hold the roll together and just let the knife guide its way through. And that's always, the butt is always the ugliest piece. And you can go through and do it again. Sometimes having a serrated knife helps. This is not my personal knife. I have a knife I keep sharp specifically for this. But you can see how just sawing gets you through. Let me grab a serrated knife, that way we can get through this. Make sure you use no pressure, because if you press down, you're absolutely gonna kill the sushi roll. Whoops. And there you go. A lovely piece of sushi. You can see how we have a nice tight center. And we'll just keep cutting, and you can cut them as thin or as thick as you like. I like to go on the thin side, especially if it's a thicker roll like this. You can see our beautiful avocado and cucumber coming through. I forgot the name of it for a second. So we're just gonna keep cutting until we're done. You can serve this with some soy sauce if you'd like. But other than that, it's good to go on its own. And the very butt piece, I leave thick, but here you go. And if you want to plate them up all pretty, you can take them, start with kind of your ugly butt, and then just stack them together as, ooh, make sure you get all the way through as so. And you can drizzle some soy sauce and put some crunchy French onions over the top. It'll impress your friends without a doubt. All right, hope you guys enjoy. See you next time.